Hello guys, welcome to another video. One more time guys, we are going to go through circles again. We're gonna do a couple more things today, but I do want to go ahead and go over some problems for you here. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is review a little bit of what we have done before. This problem here, number one, I'm just gonna give you the basics and then you can finish that one. But that one is very simple to find, because if this is 64, then from here to here we were told in the other videos that is twice as that. So if that's 84, I'm going to multiply 84 times 2 and 84 times 2, we'll get 168. Okay? You know, and then in order to find this right here, it's very simple, because you know that the whole thing is going to be 360. Okay, so I'll let you finish that first one there. Okay, just knowing that everything is 360, this plus that is 360. Go ahead and find that missing value. I'm gonna go ahead and do number 2 because this one is actually more difficult to do, as you can see. Well, this is saying right here, okay, remember we're gonna use the same formula, that if this is that right there, then this is twice as that. So it's 2 times 30x minus 1. Okay? And then, but it's also saying that this, okay, this is also, and it's the same thing, really, from there to there, that's also 2 times 29x plus 1, which means that those two have to be equal to each other. Now, there's something that you have to realize. When I set up this equation, something that you're going to notice is that you can actually divide by 2 on both sides, and what that's going to do is going to eliminate the 2's that you see there. So in reality, you can see that 30x minus 1 is going to equal 29x plus 9. And then we can go ahead and solve it. When I move over the 29x, I get x, add 1, and I get 10. Okay? But of course, you have to be extra careful with this because they're asking you to find the measurement of SR. If you just say that the answer is 10, then you're going to get it wrong. Okay? What is SR? Well, SR is either one of those. We already know if I plug in a 10 in there, or on the other one, it doesn't really matter, you're going to get the same answer. You're going to get 2 times 30 times 10 minus 1. 30 times 10 is 300. Let me see. That doesn't look right. X plus 1. Something seems to be off here. Because I'm gonna get an answer that is much bigger than expected. Let me see. so I set up the equations correctly. If I'm not around there, I'm good. Then x is equal to 10. You can plug in into 10 right there. Now we're looking for the measurement of SR. Well, I don't think it's 10. That can't be 10. Oh, you know what I did wrong? This is what I did wrong. There is no 9 right there. It's a 1. Okay? Alright. Honest mistake. Okay, so let's fix that. You get a 1 there. That's gonna make a huge difference. So, you know, I noticed, here's how I noticed, and this is also learning, something to learn about. I noticed that I was gonna get an answer that was gonna be way too big. Like 2 times 299. Okay, that's definitely gonna be greater than 360. How could this be greater than 360 if the whole circle is 360? You know what I mean? So that answer was not even possible. Now when I redo that, I can see that the answer is actually x is equal to 2. So that's what I like about geometry, that in geometry, if you get an answer, you can always kind of tell if it's right or wrong just by looking at the numbers and by using logic. So in here, instead of a 10, I'm gonna use 2. Okay, so we got 60 minus 1. 59 times 2 is 118. So in here, what you actually get is 118 as your final answer, and that is the right answer that I'm looking for. Okay, so that clears that up. All right, I'll do number 3 now, and you'll do number 4. Once again, guys, what we're doing in here is we're trying to use those formulas that we have. Okay, let me see if I can pull out my formula sheet. Okay, everything that I need is already there. Okay, so I'm gonna look over here on my computer. I'm gonna look for that formula that I need. Okay, so we have a tangent and a secant. That's the one you want to use. Tangent and a secant. Guys, and all I'm doing is looking at the figure. It's like, what does that look like? Well, that looks like this right here. So that's the formula I want to use. Okay, remember we're using degrees here. So the formula you actually use is the one on the bottom. So be careful with that. A lot of people get confused and use the other formula. One, you're dealing with segments and lengths, and one you're dealing with degrees. It's totally different. Here you're dealing with degrees. Okay? So the formula for that one is x is equal to half of m minus n. And we know, let's set it up, we know that this will be considered the x, this will be considered the n, and this will be considered the m. So x is equal to half of, well, 175 minus 75. Okay, when you subtract that, okay, you should get 100, and then your final answer should be 50. So that's what you should submit on that one there. Okay, same idea with number 4. I'll set it up for you, you finish it for me. The equation we're supposed to be using for that one, remember we're dealing with degrees right now. Okay, these are 2 secants. So the equation looks like this. Similar to the one we just used, where this right here is considered my x, this is my m, and this is my n. So my x becomes 14x, the m becomes 41x minus 4 minus 48. I always like to multiply everything by 2 to get rid of that fraction. And I get 28x is equal to 41x, negative 4 plus negative 48 is going to be negative 52. I will let you guys actually finish that problem for me. Remember, be careful on that one, because after you find x, that's not the answer. After you find x, you gotta find j, l, s. So whatever you find for x, okay, you're gonna plug that into there, and that's gonna give you your final answer. Okay, so be careful what they're asking you in every single problem. Okay, be very careful. All right, now we're dealing with segments. Remember this. For this one here, we're using the ones with 2 chords. And I'm just using that formula sheet. I don't like to memorize anything. I always go to my formula sheet and look at my formulas, because I don't memorize them. Eventually you do memorize them, because after you use them so much, you start to memorize them. So we know that this formula is A times B is equal to C times D, where the A and the B, the C and the D. Okay? You could say, oh, Mr. Ordonez, how do you know that this is A and that's B? Well, you can also say that this is A and this is B, as long as they're on the same line. Okay? And this one will have to be C and then D. Oh, Mr. Ordonez, why isn't this D and this C? It doesn't matter, because you're multiplying them on the formula. 5 times x is the same as x times 5. It's the same thing. Okay? So that doesn't matter. What really matters is that you stay consistent on the same line. A goes with B and C goes with D. So A in this case will be 6 times 10 is equal to 5 times x. 6 times 10 is 60. Then we have 5x. And then we just have to divide by 5, and that gives me x is equal to 12. And that is my answer for that one. Okay? I'll have you finish number 6. Go ahead and take a look at the formula sheet. See which one is the one you have to use. I'll do number 8 since it looks a little bit more difficult to do. Okay. Number 8. So we have the formula for that is A times B is equal to C times D. Okay, we're gonna say that this is A and this is B. You just have to be consistent. They have to be on the same line. And then this could be C and this could be D. Okay, so A in this case is x plus 8. I always like to put it in parentheses. And then the B, be careful, it seems to be this one right here, x plus 9 is equal to 30 times 14. So 30 times 14. Okay? So now we're going to go ahead and multiply that out. First of all, we're going to multiply this one here. X times x is x squared. And then we get 9x, and we get 8x. And then we get 8 times 9, which is 72. And then we're going to do 30 times 14. That's going to be 420. Okay, then we're going to subtract. Well, let's actually combine this one with this one here. 9 plus 8 is 17x. And then I subtract there 72 minus 420. That's going to be negative 348 is equal to 0. Now, like I said yesterday, if you want, you can try to factor this, or you could also use technology and figure that out with technology. Okay? On this one here, I actually would like to use technology. And I believe the answer for this one, the reason why I use technology on this one because the numbers are bigger and they're more difficult to use. So what I mean by technology is you just go to Google and look for a quadratic formula calculator. Okay? This one we already know that cannot be used, so we use this one here. Okay? Now what are they looking for? I think that's all they're looking for. They're looking for x, and that's going to be the answer for that right there. Alright, so let's keep going. Alright, so on this one here, they're asking us to find UB. So this one here. So what that means is that we have to solve for x. Then after we figured out what x is, then we have to plug in into there and then figure out what the answer is. Okay? So always be careful what they're asking you, because a lot of people say, oh, you know what, I got x, and then you plug it into your quiz and then you get it wrong. Well, it's not that it was wrong, it's you didn't finish the problem really. Okay, so on this one here, let's go ahead and continue using that formula sheet that we have. So I see I'm gonna use this formula, the 2 secants one. This one is one of the most difficult ones. It's b times a plus b. If you're wondering where I'm getting this, it's the formula sheet, guys. This right here. Oh, no, not that one. This one here. That's what I'm using. I'm not using anything that I haven't given you. This is the formula sheet. Okay? And then we have d and c plus d. Okay, that is my formula. Then I have to define what's a and then what's b. Well, we're going to say that this is a, then this must be b. And then c, and then d. Okay? How do I figure which one is which? Just look at the picture on the formula sheet, guys. It's not that complicated. Okay, so we have b, in this case, will be 7x. We have a is 5x. We have b, once again, is 7x. Okay? Then we have d is 6. C is 8 plus d again. Alright, let's figure this out. Let's combine like terms. So 5x plus 7x, that's going to give you 12x. And then 8 plus 6, that's just going to be 14. Okay, now let's multiply. 7 times 12, okay, 7 times 12 is 84. And then when you multiply x times x, is x squared. And I missed the 4 there. Is equal to, well, 6 times 14 is also 84. That's great. So that means that when I divide by 84 on both sides, I actually get x squared is equal to 1. This means that x is equal to 1 or x is equal to -1. But we already know that this cancels out. If you're wondering how I got that, remember you take the square root on both sides. That's all. Okay, so we know that x is equal to 1, so we're going to plug that in there. 1 into 7x, so 7 times 1 will give you 7 as your final answer. Okay? Alright, so I'll let you finish number 10 for me. Now let's talk about something new here. It says in here, find the circumference of each circle. You're going to use 3.14 for the value of pi. Round your answer to the nearest tenth. Okay, find the circumference of each circle. Well, how do you find the circumference? Well, in that formula sheet, it actually gives you a formula that you need to use. Okay, the formula is, when I look at the formula sheet, it's actually on the back, and then it's that right there. So we have the formula for the circumference, and then we also have the formula for the area. And that is technically all that we're going to use for this right here. And then I'll give you another formula that you are going to need later on. Okay? Awesome, guys. All right, so let's go ahead and go back to our worksheet here. Find the circumference. Well, the formula for that is this one here. The circumference, and the formula for the circumference, once again, is 2 pi r. Okay, so read the instructions very carefully. It's saying to use 3.14 for pi. So instead of pi, we're going to write 3.14. And then for the radius, we are going to use 7.2. It does say to round your answer to the nearest tenth. So we need to do that as well. Okay, so we're going to use our calculator and we're going to be multiplying just a little bit. So 2 times 3.14 times 7.2. Here's what I get on my calculator. 45.216. What is rounding to the nearest tenth? Well, the nearest tenth is right there. So we look at the number next to it and we have to round. Okay, do I go up or do I stay? Well, since the number next to it is 1, we're going to stay. So my final answer is going to be 45.2. Okay, that is what you need to submit on Canvas. So be careful with the instructions. If it's asking you to round, you need to round. Same idea with number 13. They're giving you the diameter here. From here to there. But we actually need to get the radius. Well, the diameter is twice as big as the radius. So if I want to figure out what the radius is, all I need to do is divide the diameter, d, divided by 2. So I'm going to divide the diameter by 2. So 19.2 divided by 2, that's going to give you 9.6 for the radius. So now we can use our formula. The circumference in this case is 2 pi r. In this case, pi is going to be 3.14. And then r is going to be 9.6. We're going to multiply all those out. 2 times 3.14 times 9.6. That's going to give you 60.288. Like I mentioned before, we do have to round to the nearest tenth. That right there is my nearest tenth. Take a look at the number next to it. If it's bigger than 5, that 2 needs to go up. So it's gonna now be 60.3, and that is what we need to submit on Canvas. Okay, 60.3. All right, let's take a look at this one here. It says in here, find the length of the arc. Okay, find the length of the arc. You have to understand that when they're asking you to find the arc, or they're talking about circumference. Okay, they're talking about circumference of the arc. So we are going to use the same formula for the circumference, but we need to modify it just a little bit, because we only need to find a portion of that circumference. Remember, the circumference is the surrounding, it's what's surrounding that circle. So we only need to find a portion of that. So how do I do that? Well, after I find the whole circumference, I'm gonna find a fraction. And that fraction is going to be 195 over 360. What does this mean? Well, this is part of the circle. And this right here is the whole circle. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I only need to find 195 out of 360 of the circumference. Okay, so we're going to use that formula once again. 2 pi, and then r in this case is 12, but now we're going to multiply times this right here, times 195 over 360. And we need to simplify as much as possible. Okay, remember this right here is how we get a fraction of the circle. Okay, so in reality it's the same formula. So let's go ahead and do some multiplication here. We got 2 times 12 times 195. 2 times 12 times 195. It's going to give you a big number, 4,680 over 360 pi. Now you're probably wondering, well, Mr. Ordonez, you know what? You did this wrong because none of those are there. Okay, that can't be right. Well, the solutions in there that they're giving you are actually in terms of the smallest fraction. So we do have to simplify that fraction. Something that I see here is that I could divide by 10, and I'll get 468 over 36 pi. I'm going to check if 468 is divisible by 36. Oh, actually it is. So 468 is divisible by 8. If I divide 468 by 36, you actually get 13. And that will be 13 pi as your final answer. So the answer for this one will be 8. Okay? All right. So now what you're going to do number 16 for me. Okay? What is the fraction? They're asking you to find the fraction of it. So the fraction is going to be 315 over 360. Okay? That's what you're looking for. Okay? All right. Awesome. Now on this one here, they're asking you to find the area of each sector. Okay, the area. So what is the area? The area, remember, is everything inside. But we're only looking for the area of this right here. Okay, so how do I do this then? Well, what if I tell you, hey, Mr. Dunn, or what if I tell you to find the area of the whole circle? Forget about that portion right there. What if I tell you, find the area of the whole circle? Well, if you find the area of the whole circle, the area of the whole circle is pi r squared. So the area of the whole circle will be, 7 squared will be 49 pi. Okay, this right here will be for the whole circle. But of course, we're not looking for the whole circle, we're looking for a fraction of the whole circle. And what is that fraction? Okay, that fraction is the following. We need to multiply that 49 pi times a fraction. We know that the whole circle is 360, so the fraction will be 315 over 360. Because we only want a fraction of the whole circle. We only want this portion right here. Okay? Only that portion, which is a fraction of the whole circle. So now we're going to multiply, okay, 315, or sometimes what's the best way to do this is to try to simplify it as much as possible. For example, that 315 could be simplified by dividing by, let's see, by 15. So I could actually divide this by 15 and by 15 there. So 315 divided by 15 is 21. So we have 49 pi times 21 over, and then 360 divided by 15 is 24. See how we're kind of simplifying the problem now? Okay, we're not done yet because we could actually divide this one by 3. Okay, so that would be 49 pi times, okay, divide the 21 by 3 and you get 7 over 8. So now we're almost done. Now let's multiply the 49 times 7 and we get 343 pi over 8. So as you can see, the answer for this one will be D. Okay, so you're going to be doing the same thing for number 18. You're going to be looking for a fraction of the whole area. All right, let's move on. All right, so let's take a look at this one here. We need to look for, and this one should be easy, guys. We need to look for from here all the way to there. That's Bx. Okay, how are we gonna find that? Well, you have to first realize that half of a circle right there, and that looks like a diameter, half of a circle is 180. So from here all the way to there, the whole thing is 180. Okay, so if this is 40 and this is 67, then we can figure out what this is very easily. All we have to do is subtract 180 minus 40 minus 67. That gives me 73. All right, so how am I gonna find this right here? Well, all you have to do is add this plus this. And that gives you the measurement of BX of that arc. It's going to be 113. Okay? Hopefully you can figure it out, number 20 there. See if you can find the measurement of that arc. Now let's go ahead and solve for X here. Something that you have to realize, guys, is that if this is 130, this is also 130. This is not the same as this. That's not the same. If this is 30, then that's 60. It's completely different. Because on this one, you're actually in the middle of the circle. So if that's 130, this, are we actually gonna need that? I don't think so, because all you have to realize is this right here. Well, first of all, this right here looks like a diameter. Okay, I don't know what this is, but it's actually pretty easy to get that, because we know that the whole thing there is 180. So if this is 130, how much do I need to get to 180? I need 50 more. So that must be 50. Okay? That's just what it is, guys. That's not as complicated as you can think. So that means that this must also be 50. So now that's going to allow me to figure out what X is in this round, because I know that this whole thing right here is 180. So here's how I'm going to set up my equation. I know that 50 plus negative 81x minus 1 plus 50 should equal 180. Now all I have to do is simplify this round. 50 plus negative 1 plus 50 is going to be 99. And then you're going to subtract 180 minus 99. You actually get 81 one more time. That means that X is equal to negative 1. And you're going to go ahead and do that as well for number 22. 22 is pretty easy because this was also 110. When you add all those together, this plus this plus this plus this, that should add up to 360. So that's how you should set up your equation. Okay? All right, let's keep going. There's a lot of problems, different problems that are pretty easy, but we just got to go over them. Okay, measurement of BW here. So we want to find the measurement of this guy here. All I have to do is figure out what X is. After you figured out what X is, then we're almost done here. All right, let's do this then. If this right here is 12x plus 3, then this right here is also 12x plus 3. So that means that this is also 55. So I know that when I add all those together, I'm going to get 360. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to add this plus this plus this together. All the numbers, I'm gonna add them together. So I'm gonna add 85 plus 3 plus 85 plus 55. That's gonna give you 228. And then we have the 12x plus the 10x is gonna be 22x. All of that, because I added all of that, that's gonna add up to 360. So now I'm going to subtract, and I'm gonna get 22x is equal to 132. Finally, divide by 22, and you get x is equal to 6. If you put on Canvas that you got 6, guess what? You're gonna get it wrong. Why? Because they're asking you for the measurement of BW. So they're asking you for this measurement right there. So you gotta take one more step and plug in the 6 in there, and U10 times 6 is gonna give you 60, and that's actually what the answer is. Okay? So be extra careful with that right there. Let's take a look at number 24. I'll set it up for you and then you can finish it. If this right here is x plus 43, they're saying that this and this is congruent. So that means that this is also x plus 43. That's what that means, guys. And then this right here, that's also x plus 43. But do we need that to solve for x? Let me think about that. DAE. Okay, we don't necessarily, but we do have to figure out what x is, guys. What is x? Okay. Here's how you're gonna figure out what x is. We know, okay, this is the diameter, that the whole thing right there is gonna be 180. So the way you solve for x is the following. This plus this is equal to 180. So x plus 143 plus x plus 43 is 180. Okay? Figured out what x is. After you figured out what x is, you're gonna know what this is, what this is, what this is, and what this is. And then to get this portion right here, which is what they're asking you to find, asking you to find DAE, you're gonna have to subtract 360 minus whatever you get here, whatever you get here, whatever you get here, and whatever you get here. Okay? So see if you can figure that one out by yourself. Alright, let's move on to something very different. It says here, use the information provided to write the equation of a circle. Well, we're going to use a formula that we need. So I'm going to write it down in here for you. So the equation of a circle. And if you look this on Google, you can find this very easily. Equation of circle looks like this. It has a parenthesis minus an x1, and then it has a square plus a y minus a y1 square is equal to r squared. Hopefully you remember this formula from, we see this in algebra and we see it in middle school, and you should have seen this before. And if you haven't, well, here it is. That is the formula of circle. I'm not gonna explain it too much, but here's how you use it. Okay, it's actually pretty simple. The center of a circle is a point. And that point is going to be x1 and y1. Guess what? That x1 is that one right there. And that y1 is that one right there. This never changes. That's part of the equation. And then the r is the radius. So this are kind of like what you need. So let me actually rewrite the formula. So this x1, I'm gonna write it in red. x1. The y2 I'll write it in purple. And now y2, I'm sorry, y1. So there it is. So how do we use this formula? Very easy, guys, very easy. The formula again is x minus x1 squared plus y minus y1 is equal to r squared. Notice that I didn't write the x, the y, and the r because I'm going to plug it in. The x1 is 9. The y1 is 9. And the r is 8. So all you have to do here is simplify the formula. Okay, 8 squared is 64. So take a look at what you have in here. This a, that definitely doesn't work. This, the radius is wrong. And then it's between C and D. But you can see that it has to be C. Okay? Because those are now pluses right there. It's y minus x1. Okay, so the answer for that one, it's C. Okay, you're gonna do the same for number 26. Okay, number 26. Let's go ahead and find that using that equation of a circle. Okay, let's figure out this one here. How do I figure out what the area of a circle is using the information that they're giving me? Well, first of all, they're giving you the circle right there, the center, so we're almost there with that. Remember that the formula is x minus x1. In this case, it's -5 squared plus y minus 1 squared is equal to r squared. We're not sure what the r squared is, but we can get it very easily in a second. So I'm almost done with the formula. It's just that I'm not sure what r squared is, but we can get it through the area. I know that the area of a circle is pi r squared. Okay, so the area in this circle is actually 64 pi. So in this case, what happens is the pi's get canceled out and we get 64 is equal to r squared. That means when I take the square root of both sides, the r must be 8. Or you know what? The formula, it's already right there. R squared is given to you right there. So that right there, the radius is 8, but r squared is 64. So I'm going to replace that with 64 because that is what r squared is. So as you can see, the formula will be, I believe the right answer for this one will be B. It's the one that looks like that. This is definitely wrong. There is no such thing as x minus 1. The other ones are just trying to confuse you. Okay? All right, see if you can use that same idea on number 28. What I just did, do it for number 28. All right, number 29. They're giving you the circumference. Okay, but we already know the formula is right here. X minus 7 squared plus y. If it's a negative 2, just like what happened here, negative and a negative, that turns into a positive. Well, the same is going to happen here. A negative 2 is going to turn into a positive 2. And then all we have to figure it out is what's r squared. Okay, we don't know that one. But we know that the circumference of a circle is 2 pi r. So the circumference in this case is 22 pi. Okay, so what I can do is I could divide by 2 and by pi on both sides, by 2 and by pi on both sides. That means that r, okay, this will cancel and this will cancel. This will also cancel. 22 divided by 2 is 11. And r squared, okay, 11 squared is 121. That's what I'm going to put right there. So that r squared, I'm going to replace it with 121. Okay? So 121, as you can see, it's either A or C. But if you look carefully, it must be C as your final answer. Okay? Alright, number 31. This one's probably the hardest ones, but it's still pretty easy, guys. Okay? What you have to do on this ones here is locate, because remember the formula needs the following. It needs the center and it needs the radius, and we need to locate that. Well, take a look at this circle right here. Where is the center? The center is right there. What is that point? Well, it's 4 and 1. So 4 and 1. And what is the radius? Okay, what is the radius? The radius is the middle and then 2 right there. So that's the radius, is going to be 2. You guys see that? Everywhere you see a 2. It's not very complicated, guys. So we found everything that we needed for that. So the formula is going to be x minus, or the equation, x minus x1, in this case will be 4. And then y minus y1, in this case is a 1. Is equal to, remember r is equal to 2. That means r squared is equal to 4. So that's what I'm going to put right there, 4. So the answer for this one would be x minus 4 plus y minus 1 squared is equal to 4. So as you can see, it must be B. Okay? So that's all for today. You're gonna do the rest of the problems there. Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. Make sure that you write this formula down. If you haven't, pause the video and write it down in your notes, because you do need that to complete the rest of the problems. Okay? I'll see you guys on the next video.